All right, guys, this is Brandon.
And Carrie.
We got Jared from Infinite Corridors, and we got Cat I Am. We're gonna go ahead and get to talking about some deeper stuff, in and around this matrix and beyond it. And Jared had brought up a woman that has kind of come on the scene in the last year or two, whatever, who seems to bring up quite a bit of information that makes you kind of question things a little differently. Her channel is the Tree of Knowledge. Her name's Sonia. She's awesome. She's pretty happy-go-lucky. Um, but me personally, I found some stuff that made me think, okay, well, this is we're getting these people that are coming out that said they've experienced things for 35, 30 years. Worry about this. This is happening. It's ascension. It's 5D, and it's the same kind of thing over and over. What threw me off was she had made a comment on one of her recent interviews about all of us are from source. All these people that are awakened are from source, and source fractalized itself to experience itself. And when it did that, all of us fractals went into what's called the void. And in that void, there was like a nothing space, is how she describes it, just pure black. And we started to create. And together, we created our first creation. This is a big red flag for me. Was a ant queen, ANT queen. And I thought, you mean to tell me fractals of source couldn't come up with anything better to create than an ant queen? And then she went on to say that our second creation was the mantids, and our third creation was the Draco reptilians. And I'm just like, okay, red flag, red flag, red flag. And this isn't to say that I don't agree with some of the stuff she says. Some of it's valid, and I find that it resonates. But this was weird. This was just throwing me off. I'm like, I don't think that that's even close to where I'm hitting home base on. She had said that we are in an ascension cycle, that there are 12 of them that last for 7 years apiece, that our bodies are being upgraded. And I'm sitting here
I
thinking,
don't know
okay, well,
stuff.
what
I
about,
didn't
yeah,
catch any of
exactly.
that stuff. I didn't watch the whole thing. I did totally miss the Ant Queen and Mantid stuff. So yeah, I don't know about her now. I'm way don't know about her.
Right, right. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, I'm seeing these people, and they get on interviews with like some of these pretty smart channels, like Tony Sayers, Dose of Reality. Another one is the what does he call himself? The Typical Skeptic. Like, they're getting on these channels and pushing this information almost in the same fashion that the New Age did with like Bashar, Dolores Cannon,
Well, that's
Abraham Hicks.
Tony Sayers is totally new age. I don't trust him at all.
So it's just
I
I would say tread
have you
lightly,
been
use
following
discernment.
for have you been following him for a long time?
I would say about a year and a half that I've talked to Tony. I was trying to do a back when I was kind of newer to some of this stuff. I was trying to do a chakra removal session with him. We tried for like 3 weeks, and the payments wouldn't go through. Cards were getting declined on adding money here and there, trying to send email. Nothing was working. So we were like, we're
Wow.
just going to push this off till later. So the way I looked at that was, I'm being, you could say it's handling, targeting, whatever. I think that I'm being protected from an unseen place, in that I'm not supposed to intertwine myself with that. Because a lot of these people that do like clearings or soul retrievals, quantum healings, like, they truly open portals and attach their energy to you. So you have to, no binding contract. Everything is null and void. It's only for this purpose. You need to have a very clear way about you if you're going to partake in those. But that's just some of the things I noticed that I found that were red flags. And I saw her on another channel called Oksana Buchanan with like two or three other ladies, and the vibe is weird. It's like they were happy to be ascending, and I'm thinking, what about all the death? Or do you realize who made these bodies? Like, the archons literally have parts of our, like, they one designed this part or that part, and I'm thinking, you're looking at the physical only. You're not looking at the immaterial stuff. So you're basically derailing with rabbit holes people trying to seek a higher form of spirituality. And that's kind of what leads me into the idea of, like, let's talk about beyond this place, beyond duality, beyond the Christ spiral or the fatal E spiral, the timelines in general. Like, I didn't create these timelines. I don't want to be a part of their timeline, be it new age, apocalypse, zombie, the new cage, the golden era, whatever you want to call all these stupid things. Like, I've gone through these rabbit holes, and I'm getting to where my discernment is so. I was just talking to a nice woman named Duality late last night. It's exhausting, and I would rather reserve my energy for focusing on home as opposed to focusing on like the world and things of that nature.
It all seems like distractions to keep us from going within or searching home. We're going to go outside of ourselves, and I don't know.
Well, yeah, I totally agree, Kat. And it's so Carrie and I were talking about this offline the other day about and I mentioned this to Jillery, and this is another, I feel like it's another deception, is the going outside of the body. Because even Jesus says heaven's not out there, it is within. Meaning,
exactly,
if you're gonna astral travel, what are you actually doing? Like, you're going out of the body to do it. Or like when the death comes, everybody talks about leaving the body. Like, when I leave the body, and I have so much respect for Mark over at Forever Conscious Research Channel, but it's all about going out of the body. I'm thinking, why don't you realize that the portal is the golden portal, or the heart portal that we all hold as true sparks, and go within that, as opposed to going outside of it and looking down at a body that you really don't care about anymore. Like, where are you going to go?
So, yeah, the only way out is in.
Yes.
Into your heart.
Hey, Ronin. Sorry, I was saying hey to Ronin. But yeah, go ahead, Kat and Carrie. If you, I think I'm hitting home base on that. It just feels almost like it's a distraction tactic.
Well, I think what they're doing is they're trying to build nostalgia for this world. And the more attachment we have for our bodies here, our environment here, our families here, our people, our career, our education, our jobs, whatever that is, and we for that split second when after we pass from this existence, if we turn around and look, I think we get sucked right back in it, because then we come into agreement that we long for this place. And I think if we can switch it to where we long for our true homelands, not their version, their 5D, 6D, 12D, I don't care what kind of D it is. It's all a version. It's all a copy. But if we can work, I've been trying to work backward to get an idea of what the purity of the true universe would be like. And, I think we're getting closer to that point. But if they can get our head to turn around and get us to look back and long for something here, it's nostalgia for the homeland that will guide us home. It's nostalgia for this place that will keep us ensnared here. And even if that nostalgia is appreciating the bunny rabbit holes and going down and ooh, I know so much more than everyone else, and I swirl around and look what I found, a whole family of bunnies, instead of sidestepping the rabbit holes. Yep, I see you there. I'm going around this way. I think we're at a crucial point in detaching from here, so that we no longer have the nostalgia for the beautiful sunsets and all the things, that is a double-edged sword.
Hey, Jared, you had mentioned the DMT at the time of death. It's almost like we're playing that out, dealing with the distractions here in the realm. The whole the boogie bomb Fortnite thing, where it stops you in your tracks and you can't focus on anything else but it. It's the same. It's just a different metaphorical way of looking at it, and it's focusing on World War III or the next pandemic or any of. Yeah, I mean, I was telling Jared a couple of days ago, or within the last couple of days, like, I can break down where we're at, and now that I've done that, I don't care. Like, I'm ready to go home. Like, I feel like I've dug enough into all those holes that I don't have to be distracted, and I can retain that energy, and it gives me more energy to do things like this and help the other people that are maybe, I don't know, still in some of those holes, if you will, or still kind of chasing the thing around. Because I feel like the Matrix rabbit hole, when you really, really look at it, it just doesn't end. And you can study science, you can study religion, quantum physics. I mean, you could study all this till the cows come home, because if it's a computer system or it's ran by AI, it would just continue to create stories and continue to create stories. It would be like the Chat GPT or the AI that people use to do images. It's all the same. Like, it's endless. It's not true. So at the end of the day, we are in an inverted reality from a copy of a version that is copied from eternity. And I think our true home lies in eternity. I mean, I know it at this point, because I feel like the inversion is that downward spiral, that negative timeline, whereas the Christ spiral or Christ spiral is the 7 layers of 7 heavens and all the blue and all that crap. But within
this
all of that,
never stop. This place will never stop pumping out reality distortions and manipulations and lies, and most TV CGI. Internet's all scrubbed now from most real information. Real people are kept apart. Carrie's right. Eternity, she calls it the Truniverse, which is a cool term that makes total sense to me. It's got to be beyond, because I always thought, like, wherever we go that is outside of everything fake here, all the falsity, the real reality would be so much more grand, I imagine, so much more grand than anything we can fathom from these filter brains, these brain filters we have. You just can't, it's like beyond what the brain can comprehend, But that's where we come from. It's more free than we think.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, and that goes back to the whole biblical saying, like, you just got to have faith. Okay, well, what am I putting my faith in? That there's more outside of all of this, or am I giving it away for somebody to hold my hand to take me to the next level? It's like I have more faith in me and who I have come to understand and know that I am. That this is not all there is. It can't be. So that then leads me to think that my perception with our eyesight and all that stuff, that we are being veiled from all of it. And I'm done with that. Like, I'm over it. Ronin, are you there? Hopefully you can hear us okay. And then you got your mic off. Welcome to the channel, man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, welcome aboard. I'm Brandon.
I'm Carrie.
Nice to meet you. My name is Sky.
I like it.
That's my horse's name.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I want to, everything here is like Jared says it really well, or comes across very well with it. It's everything is entropy, decay, and it's death. When it's death upon death upon death, and I think I know where we're from is life brings life all the way across. Carrie says it well. She calls it the isness almost, and that ties into what that rung a bell and resonated when the Montauk guy talked about isbies, because they're just they are, which means is being. They just are. There's no other way to really describe it with our limited perception.
Yeah, I think that's from the Alien interview book.
I think it's in there too. Yep.
The alien was supposed to be called Ariel, some gray that crash landed supposedly in the story, and then the military abducted the alien from the crash and then interviewed it, and it telepathically communicated with this lady, and told the lady that we, the real beings, have all been captured from. This part's weird, but I guess there was two factions fighting in the greater cosmos, the greater reality. And this part of the so-called universe, we lost. The good side lost this area of the universe in this story. And we got forced into incarnations here with our mind wiped. And then, so we're on lockdown. So in that model, it literally is ultra max security prison realm. That's why we don't have abilities, all this stuff. Then you die here. You go in or out, whatever you want to say. You get out of this body from your perception. You try to go into the greater universe and be free. And if you're not aware enough, I guess they zap you with billions of volts of electricity or something to wipe your mind again and put you back in a body. Now, I'm not saying that's what happens. That story Alien Interview claimed that that's what happens, but it never gave a way to get out of it. So, I don't know about that. It's just interesting.
It's all about awareness. The key there is awareness. They call it the Great Awakening. I like to call it the Great Awareness because in that awakening, there's just so much distortion. But when you learn to be an observer of all those distortions, you realize it's all about awareness. I think it was you, Jared. We talked like several months ago, and I was kind of joking around like, what would be the greatest superpower to ever have? Like, would you want to fly, be invisible, duplicate yourself? And we came to the conclusion that it would be to have awareness of all that is. And that still rings true to me.
Yeah, I have so many problems with this realm, man. Not only like you mentioned, I always go back on my channel. I'm almost always going back to how the fundamental problem here is life eating life, entropy, and decay. And it's like, so that translates to me, people call this a lifetime, but it's not a lifetime, dude. It's a death time. We're not alive.
Right.
We're gonna die. Everything here is created here, whatever, only to die. It makes no sense. I don't understand it. It seems irrational. Like, no, it's not logical.
Well, that would be how a computer would think. They would break it down into zeros and ones and try and understand what it means when it doesn't have a true spirit, so it can't see beyond its own self.
Right, but that's part of the deception. For beings that come from the true universe who are life, we don't do it. We don't have it in our pocket. We are bits of that life from an even larger, imperceivable oneness, essence, matter, and pattern. Then they know what real life is. And the best way, and we see it in the movies all the time, that you can, and even putting fish, if you introduce a new fish into your aquarium, you want to acclimate them to the water temperature and the chemicals that are already in the water. It's the same thing with us. In order to convince us, who are now down into fractions and pieces and itsy bitsy tiny bits of true life within us, not that this whole self isn't that at all. It's that we have little sparklets of that. The best way to keep us going here and deceive us to thinking that we're still home and somewhere that we're not, and thinking that this is life, is to give a little pieces of it and make us think, tell us it's life. And when I agree with you 100%, this is death. Even the Jesus in the Bible says that let the dead bury the dead. So he was saying right there, this whole joint is dead, every bit of it. Makes sense.
So I'm thinking that these NDEs, these near-death experiences, are just downloads that people are getting.
I think some are.
They're programs, yeah.
There's scripts and they're programs, yeah.
But have any of you had one?
Well, I had that one where I mentioned on one of the previous panel, like where I talked to the Lord and everything kind of dissolved around me. But my concern at that point, because I was unaware of how this place was to a large degree, or I just kind of brushed it off before that, was that I wanted to know if my son and my wife were going to be okay. And the Lord was saying that yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be taken care of. And I was like, this just doesn't feel right. This feels so weird. And I zoomed right back in here.
So did you recognize that like as some other entity speaking to you and pretending to be the Lord?
It was working through. It was working through at the time my best friend.
You know what I never hear in these NDEs? I never hear anybody get out of the like, they have the experience, they're there, someone approaches them and they're like, if somebody was trying to convince me and I realized I was aware and my body was injured or whatever, I'd be like, okay, what about the remote neuromonitoring technology that was manipulating my mind since before that avatar I had was created? What about the internet and the Wi-Fi and the radar and the mind control? Nobody ever mentions the technology that's here that's I don't know if they don't know about it before they have their NDE, but how could you like judge a soul or whatever about how good or bad they did if they were mind controlled the whole time they were there? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
When I had mine, it was back in the 80s.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's because, like I said, I'm not political, I'm not religious, I don't have any faith in anything. So, and I had abusive parents and all that. It's like, who would be there to try to tempt me back? No one, because I don't trust in all these faiths, and I don't have faith in anything but myself. So it was really short. I remember the light and I remember the love bombing, but I don't remember any life review. Nobody was there to meet me and try to sway me over or whatever. But then I woke up and here I am still, but I didn't know what to make of it. But I don't have the long, elaborate ones that they go on talking about these brightly lit cities and all these colors and all this different. Mine was like simple in and out or something. It was
They
weird.
give you what you expect to
What
find.
you're
So if you
expecting,
expect to
right?
find
So I didn't
nothing,
expect.
yeah.
So I didn't expect anything. Like I said,
Yeah.
I don't have any faith in religion or anything. So Jesus wasn't there, or Allah, or whoever. Nobody was there, so I don't know what that means. But I didn't get this life review they talk about. How do they explain all that?
My stepson had an NDE, and he said all he did was go into a room that had white walls and white ceiling and floor, and that was it. And he said there is no God. There's nothing in here at all.
Yeah.
So I guess he wanted to come
Yeah.
back. So
I
you
didn't
came
even
back.
I didn't even have a room. I just remember looking ahead and seeing the white light that I guess everyone talks about, sort of a tunnelish like thing. I don't know if it's a spiral or what it's supposed to be. And then I just felt this enormous bliss, that they called a love bombing. And that's it. That's all I remember of it.
You know what I would think if with the NDE, I don't know this, but I would think that either a black void in one of those experiences or like a white room, like you were saying, I would like interpret that as like you're in the construct, the fabric of this matrix or this, I guess, three-dimensional spatial place that we're in. That's like before the physical, it's like the construct of it. But I don't know. It just seems like because it's like the Matrix scene where Morpheus plugs in Neo the first time after he came back to the real world, and he was telling him how, yeah, this is the construct, and that's all a white room. I don't know if that's a truth drop or just a movie, but something to think about.
I almost think that that's like the last space that you're in. Like you've called BS on all of it, and they put you in this space to make you think that that's all there is outside of it, but yet it's like the final layer of it.
In Star Trek movies, they had where they would go in and do the simulation. They had that big room. Of course, it had grid marks all over it. But I'm wondering if that compartment, like what my stepson went into, might have been something like that, where they project the simulation, or where something like that. I don't know. And my guess is the reason he returned was he had some longing for family members or something here that got him attached, that kept him alive, basically. I don't know.
Yeah, I've reached a point now. It's like I've had so much problems in this life, all kinds of things that have gone wrong, and like I would rather I've reached this point. I think I would choose to not exist than come back here again. With that kind of disposition, if there is an afterlife, which I assume there is because of my metaphysical experiences, with that kind of disposition, rather to not exist anymore than come back here again, I think that's enough of a detachment to make it out of here, with the proper gnosis or knowledge, which we're working on. So
I think you're right. And I think, with our awareness of everything that's going on, it's our awareness that there's more, and our desire to go there, and our desire to return home to the Truniverse, when that is bigger than our desire to stay here and watch kids grow up, a sunset or whatever the freak they have here, then I think it's our nostalgia for the homeland. I just feel like that's the drawing connection that we're going to have that's going to lead us back that way after we collect all our shards and pieces. Somehow we reconnect, I guess.
That guided meditation thing that Lolita does, Jared, is called the dismembership journey.
The dismemberment, yeah.
When we're talking about collecting your soul pieces and where you go through and you kind of like dissolve yourself. I started to do it, but then I didn't keep on doing it, so I don't know.
There's not one,
and
that's part of the trick here. Is like there's not just going to be one way. It's going to be different for each and every one of us, given our lifetimes or our experiences. It's not going to be set up the same for me as it is the same thing for Carrie. Because they're going to try and manipulate you, and because they keep saying they know us better than we know ourselves, which I think there's truth in that. But the selves that they know is all been under the pretense of a false reality and all the disinformation and misinformation
and what they've put in there. Yeah. I know, guys, the past, 2 weeks, I have just had this early in the morning, just a sense of like unzipping this body suit and stepping out of it. And I'm not real sure. I have a hunch of what that means, but I think we're close. And I think it's going to be, for some of us, it will be that easy of just unzipping from this garment and stepping out of it in our true light, our energetic essence self, and leaving. And they'll occupy the body. And I've talked to somebody, people that have said, well, I don't want them to have I don't care if they have my body. I don't care. After I'm out of it, I don't care what they do with it. I'm not going to be in it. Does that make sense? I think that's part of what they're trying to do is either trap the souls in here at a deeper level, the ones who won't wake up, so they have a battery system.
Yeah. The metaverse, man. You know what else I never really hear anybody talk about in these NDEs? It's like, because when you break it down logically, I know there's the intuitive part too, but it's like, okay, so the body here dies, you go somewhere in consciousness. You're no longer human. You don't have to identify as human. You no longer have to identify as the name that your human body had. You could be whatever you want. You could do whatever you want. So it's just like, with enough lucid dreams and astral experiences and during the life before that final exit, you could learn to, as soon as that final exit happens, immediately stand in your power, make a shield around yourself. You could go invisible so nothing can track you or your energy signature, get your bearing, and then go back to yourself in like your innermost being or whatever your plan is. I'm just saying, like, you wouldn't have to have a humanoid body anymore at that point. I never really hear this mentioned on the NDEs, and I always wondered about that.
I think that's a great point.
I do too.
I think we need to have a plan for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well rehearsed. Spit it out there, Brandon. I can tell you.
Oh, I'm just thinking like when that time comes, like I feel like my energy is going to be through the roof. Like I'm going to be excited. Like if somebody told me, "Hey, you got 2 days to live," I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to charge right up, and I'm going to not stop thinking about where I'm going, not what's behind me, because there's no point of looking backwards. Like
that was my song of the day. "Don't Look Back" by Boston.
Like, and I'm the first person to tell you, like, I have 3 children that I love with all my heart, but true love, or what's the other phrase they use? The unconditional love. It lets them be. If they want to come and go, I mean, if I get to a place and they're like, "Hey, my little Anna says, "Hey, Dad, come with me," or "Hey, Dad, don't you want to come back and watch me cheerlead?" I'm like, sweetie, if you're who I think you are, you can come with me. And at that point, if they say no, then I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to force somebody else's will to change to my own. I'm done with this place. Like, the friendships that I've had, and they've all been great, and the family members have sometimes been okay. Like, I know we all deserve better and more, and I know it's there. And I don't have to know what it looks like. I don't have to be able to describe it. I don't have to be able to articulate it to anybody. I know that it is. And that knowing that it is enough for me to say, F off all of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we deserve better than this place. I've said that repeatedly as well. I mean, we all deserve better than anything this place ever had to offer. You know, this place, what I figured out recently after years of experimenting with laws of consciousness and stuff, the way they operate here, it's like, I don't know about how you guys feel about this, but I realized I was never going to have the things I truly desired here in this experience, like like complete metaphysical abilities, and as if it was like a lucid dream with that kind of power. It just wasn't ever going to happen. I don't know if that's because there's a frequency fence that manipulates it and makes it denser, or if it's just the laws of the matrix here. But it's just like it was never going to be this place what I wanted it to be, you know? So there's got to go somewhere. There's got to be somewhere to go better than this.
I've gotten to the point where whatever they can come up with to offer me, given my experiences, isn't going to satisfy my hunger for going back to my whole self, back to the eternity, the Truniverse, as Carrie says. Like, there's nothing that they could I don't think they can convince me. Like, I've hit that level. You know what I mean? Like, my want is greater than they can comprehend. If they want to apologize, then maybe there's something there. But like, I don't even care. I don't think that they can see that. I think they can't even feel that. So I'll just turn my back on all of it.
Well, I was thinking lately that, like the way we think, and so few people think like we do, and we're like totally rejected. Could that, and not to discount anything anyone said, but could that be a trick for us? Like, to get us to
so?
think, and like, well, you know how like they're pushing people to commit suicide. So
Yes,
people that are not that highly aware yet might think, like, take it wrong and like wanted off themselves to go to the void or something to escape here. The whole escape thing is kind of bugging me a bit.
Okay, when I think of escaping from,
because they're always tricking us.
Well, yeah, like if it's a prison break or prison escape, you gotta have. There's always somebody on the outside, right? That's a fact. We know that, and that other part that is on the outside, I think that is the portion that we are. They want us to forget or cloud our judgment of knowing that it's there. That small voice, what's another way to look at that? We are trapped because they want us to feel like we're trapped, but we aren't trapped at the same time. I'm trying to think of a way to articulate that for you, Kat.
We can't get back to our original frequencies of pure love, pure light, without any of this bipolar bullshittery. They want us to think that everything here, that you've got to have darkness to see the light. You've got to have this evil to see the good. You've got to be tormented, tortured, and beat up in order to understand goodness. And I'm like, no, not where I'm from.
Bullshit.
And so that's, yeah, exactly. It is all total bullshit. But I think that they want us to vibrate at those frequencies and think that what they tell us is good here is truly purely good, and it is not. Everything here is tainted with darkness. You mix darkness with light, you're going to get dimmed light or brightened darkness, but it's still mixed and dark. And I think where I propose that some of us come from, not everybody, is that in the Truniverse, light is. It just is. That's all that can be said. Life is there, and love, real love, is there. It's pure, it's untainted, it's never been mixed with darkness. And all these things are in a constantly outward moving essence that we can all partake in if we so choose. Obviously, we can choose not to, because that's why this joint got put here in the first place. And that's death. The default setting of not being connected to life automatically is death. And so somebody did not organize things according to the patterns in the pure matter that was set forth in the Truniverse. And so they were allowed to have their experiment, or whatever the freak they want to call this, but it's death, and it is segregated and cut off and separated from the rest of the Truniverse. And this place will spiral out, I think, and totally eat itself completely until it just blips out and is as if it had never been. But I think that it's all about frequency, and when we match our inner frequency to our true homeland in the Truniverse, I think that's when we get that honed in and tuned in. That's when we go. It's not the flower pot, kumbaya, love, peace, and here, slap me again, because I'm not going to stand my ground bullshit. Real love stands its ground. It doesn't go out and attack somebody or anything like that. It doesn't impose, but it doesn't take any crap either. And so I think as we awaken to this, to the false Bible teachings of let them slap you again, and 1 mile ain't enough. Wouldn't want 2. In fact, why don't you make it 50 until your feet bleed and fall off, and then that will make it all good for them. That's what they call good. And I'm telling you, anything good in this world is not really good. It is evil. It has the appearance of good because we have good in us. We have two souls, one on each foot. That represents 2 souls. We've got a solar plexus in the middle. We've got a what's that other one in your head? So we've been split and put back together in so many ways, but we're not just one way. We're inside, like the old Indian proverb about I feel like I have 2 wolves fighting inside of me, grandfather. Which one wins? And he said it's the one you feed. And so it's kind of true. The soul that wins is the spirit of this world or the spirit of our homeland. Which one's going to win? Well, I'm going to weed off of the one here as much as I can possibly do, and get my focus pointed on what is the pure form of these things, the untainted love that would be resonant with the consciousness in the Truniverse. I hope that makes sense. Maybe not.
Yeah, I got a couple things to say. One, I kind of wondered how these beings or whatever, how could something try to explain away in a logical way, like how insidious this place is, how, like the remote neuromonitoring technology, all these technologies that mind control. So that's one thing. I never understood how that could even be attempted to be explained in a logical way, and then to rationalize it. And the other thing is, I don't know if anybody ever thought about this, but I've thought in the past, what if, like before we came here, what if we were in another realm and we died there, and then we were born here, and when you die here, you're born back into that place again, and like a cycle. And I never heard anyone say that, but that was one idea I had. But I don't know what you guys think about that. Just putting it out there.
Yes, that could be possible.
It sounds like reincarnation. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kat.
Oh no, that's all right.
It just seems like they're like, hey, play the game again. Play the game again. You can do this time. We've upgraded it this way. We've changed this.
Yeah. Some of the ancient texts from Plato and some of the ancient ones kind of address that, and what they throw out there. Of course, this gets into the Sophia and Sophos and Yaldabaoth and all that. And I think these are intelligences. They're not anything that we would recognize because they're greater and bigger, whatever, in every way, and they're energetic existences that have intelligence. And I think they've done this, and being separated from life, they had to come up with another way to continue their existence, ex-isness, ex-istence. And so they had to come up with a way to do that. I think we were the answer to generating food for this twisty, turny world by bringing our light here. So according to those ancient texts, is that the call went out to the Truniverse for help. And so my guess is Sophia asked for help with her creation. This was her stepchild thing in the beginning because it was dying. And so we were sent here, or allowed to come here, to come and help. And there were two rules according to these texts. And the first rule was that we were to come and go whenever we wanted to. The second rule was that we were not to have anyone lord it over us. We were to maintain our own sovereignty. And so that rocked on pretty good for a little while. And that's when lots of awesome things were created, I'm sure. And so it turned into everything here gets consumed in death. And so one feeds right directly into another. You've got to have prey animals to support the predators. Everything here is predatory in nature. And so we were the more or less prey animals, or prey beings, that had to come in here and bring life here, but also bring this ability for this place to sustain itself through as it goes through those cycles. But now something slipped in. It was a glitch in the system, or whatever it was. I have another hunch. It has to do with Yaldabaoth and his three entities of himself. But they, God, I lost my train of thought, and it was going to be good. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Must have been real good, and I got zapped.
We are the power supply.
This place got infected. It got corrupted and infected a long time ago, and it never went back to the way, because we should be able to come and go. I've always known that, but we can't,
Yeah, because they've blocked our frequency to be able to connect back with our homeland, and we're blocked here. Somehow it's all done with frequency. And so if that frequency's still up, either we can strengthen our own frequency to reconnect to home, or something happens for a brief moment. And then that's when I think we can reconnect, and I hope step out of these bodysuits. But yeah, that's spot on.
Yeah.
Y'all ever think that?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear you.
I was gonna say, I still have a feeling that death is kind of like birth, where it's a completely smooth transition to where you don't even know that you died. I still have a feeling that it's going to be such a fast transition that you don't even realize that you're dead. Like what Jared was saying about being birthing and dying in different places and not really realizing it, just being shifted from back and forth. I think the transition is very smooth. That's just what I'm leaning towards. But obviously, I hope and our goal is to try to have at least some sort of agency afterwards, to where we're at least in some sort of space to where we know what happened, and we can then go into the other place that you guys are talking about. But I just have a feeling that, unfortunately, I just don't know if there's going to be a time for that. I feel like it's going to be so smooth and fast to where you may not even know what exactly happened, just like being born here. Now, over time, we kind of, we understand, what happened to us, but that's what I'm leaning towards at the moment. Again, I hope I'm wrong. I obviously hope there is a sort of transitionary period where we're able to maintain our sovereignty, which is what we're all hoping for, but I don't really know. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards at the moment.
I think for some it'll be that way. I think for others it will be very difficult because they won't want to release what's here. But I do think there's a transition, like you're saying, that's going to be. I mean, think about it. I mean, I think we've timeline jumps several times just in the past 10 years. Timeline or something is very different because this is not the same world I grew up in at all. I look at the sky, it's not anything resembling what I grew up in. Everything is much closer, more compacted. The pressure is different. Everything is different. The sun is totally different. It just darkened back in April again, and the shadows are wrong. Everything is wrong. And so it's I think that for that, the bulk of the transition is going to be very smooth, like you're saying. I think for some people, they have a very different experience. So, yeah, I think probably what the machines part of this is striving for is everything happening the same. But I think first, according to the law of one, the alleged, talking with Ra, the split and everything, it seems to talk about this split, even in the Bible and all these other texts. And so I don't think it's a quote unquote violent split. It may be accompanied with it. And for some, it may be violent. I think for me, I'm trying to entertain that it could be a little bit of everything all together all at once. And it's just going to depend on our own, I think, our expectation and our own awareness of what's going on that perhaps will change that. So for you, it would probably be very fluid and smooth. I think for me, it would be pretty fluid and smooth. But I've even seen people die that it was not fluid and smooth at all. And I think those were usually the ones that were trying so hard to cling to life here and maintain something here. And I understand in a lot of the Kabbalistic teachings and things like that, they say the soul can stay here for up to 40 days until it finally realizes that the body is dead and it has to come to terms with whatever that means. Even in that Robin Williams movie, What Dreams May Come, it was the same thing. He hung around for a while until he figured out he was actually tormenting his wife. It was making it harder on her to move on by his unwillingness to move on into the death world.
You can't have any like when you leave here, when the body actually dies, you can't grasp back for anything from this place, because if you grasp back for anything from this world, you're gonna grab a new body and be birthed here again, is what I would assume. You just grab right to a new body and then you're back again,
That very well could be.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. In some cases, they expect a life review, and I think that's what they get. They expect Jesus or Buddha or Timbuktu to meet them up at the pearly gates or the fiery gates, and that's what they're going to get. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it'll be, it's not a one size fits all. I'm not thinking, but it very well could be. It's kind of all speculation at this point, but I really like your thinking there.
Knowing that everything here is death, why reach back for anything? That's what my mind went to when you stated that. There is nothing here for me. I am not death. I am life. Like inside, above, higher self, I know that I'm life. So if I know that everything here is death, I don't need any part of it. I have no use for it. And when we would remove ourselves from their situation, that's then the great taking the power back, removing the batteries. That's the true great taking back control of it, however you want to phrase that.
And that's what they don't want us to realize, is that that's our free choice. We don't realize it. And so then we get thrown back into the whole mind wipe and tossed down here into hell. But once we awaken and we maintain our awareness that that's what's going on, and I think it's going to be important for us all to each practice in their own way, their own, script, if you will, of acting that thing out and having it in our own consciousness of what's going to happen, because ultimately it's only our consciousness that can even get out of here. As far as I'm concerned, our essence and our consciousness, as we reunite with our split off
Our
flame.
whole self.
Yeah.
Do y'all think that consciousness is fundamental? Like consciousness is the substance of everything?
I think there's a lot of truth in that.
I think it's consciousness and awareness. I mean, someone can be conscious but not aware. Like my parents are conscious, they're not aware of a lot of things. So I think it has to go on, but I think a lot of it for us is realizing who we really are, and that it's not the so much of what other people tell us, but of what we resonates within our own self. And you guys know when you hear something and it's just like, ooh, that don't fit, and that's our using our own awareness and our own discernment. And so we start to push away the things that don't fit. We don't go out and embrace it, and there's so much of the new age, I don't know what they are, but they want you to embrace the darkness. And I'm like, nope, you're mixing up my light with darkness and I'm not going to have it. And so I'm learning to stand more firmly against, either the inserted from an outside source voices in my head or my own alleged voice in my head from my old nature. And so I still have to put that down.
I would say I'm pretty sure for myself that consciousness is fundamental, but the question is whose consciousness is fundamental to the realm you're in, right? Because I kind of view this place, I view this place as like, in my own experience, I have my own little reality bubble, and I know for a fact from thousands of times of experimenting with this realm that I can materialize some things into my realm around me within seconds to minutes or hours. But I don't think I'm the only mind here. I'm not a solipsist, right? So I'm pretty sure you guys are real, and you have your own mind, your own consciousness. But as far as this realm is concerned, it feels to me like the oppositional force is whatever this Yaldabaoth thing is, and it's basically projecting the construct here, and then we're like tuned into it because our minds are projected here. Something like this, like a matrix, So whose consciousness is fundamental to which realm, or how many consciousness,
That's awesome. And so what my response would be, the consciousness that is innate to us that we came in here with is still here inside of us. It may be broken into however many pieces we are fractalized as, but it's still present. And that's why when we connect with others that are, like-minded or of like consciousness, not that we're one brain, but we know it's just the resonance is different, and you have a deeper understanding on a whole different level versus people that are conscious and aware on, about the political scene or, the current events thing and rabbit hole. That's a whole different level. And I think that's their projected consciousness. It only goes to that level. So they're feeding that consciousness so it strengthens it, while the true universe consciousness is not fed. Whereas we're feeding that in whatever different way we're each feeding that. And that's why we're in a different place, if that makes sense. I like what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like they have, in the case of, if I'm grasping what you're intending to get across, the ones that are like on the whatever, like New Age is kind of an egregore, and then you've got the political egregore, you've got like other types of truth community egregore type stuff, but they miss out on fundamental aspects of what it means to be a real being. And some of them could be real beings, but they just haven't woken up all the way to realize, hey, I'm not from this place. Everything is a lie. Everything is wrong and inverted. There's got to be something better. And that's where I'm from. It's just all wrong here.
Oh, I concur wholeheartedly. I've never felt like I fit in here. I always knew I would be here during this weird time since I was little bitty. And so, I've never fit in here. And and that's fine. I've tried to my whole life. It did not work out well for me. And so now I can be grateful that it didn't, because it showed me that I need to cut that crap off and just press on. So yeah, I like that. We're all thinking today.
It's good. Sometimes quiet is good.
Yeah.
I think that as far as like leaving early or suffering during this limbo time or waiting for exit, there's a reason we're still here. Like, be it that we can perceive it or not, our whole self or our true self, higher self, whatever you want to call it, there's a plan in place there. And that then makes me think that we are, even though it doesn't feel like it all the time, but we are the helpers or way showers for the other ones that aren't as far down their journey as we have become on our own journeys. Kind of, I call them way showers. I think we're here to help, like, well, leave no true spark behind, kind of thing.
Well, for the ones who want to come, but
Yes.
You've also got the other side who channels the space, whatever they are, demons, and who are prepared to have some kind of an abduction type thing. And so they listen to Dolores Cannon. She's full of it. Oh, why, you're a way shower, and you're going to keep the people calm while they're loading them up on the ship to go lay in the med beds and get healed and all of this. And I'm like, oh, you better stay the hell away from me. You know, but they've got their thing for that too. So like I said, everything here we are in duality. So what we see is good. There is also as pure good. There is also copy good and inverted good, which would be what we consider evil. And then along them are various shades of gray of mixtures of all of that. But nothing in this world is purely good. We're trying to push off the whatever darkness has been implanted upon us and find those proper frequencies to resonate with, so that when the time comes for whatever departure or splitting off, I don't know what it will be. I just hope we just fly fly on out of here.
It's like you said, and to Ronin's point, it's what's the Bible phrase where it would be like a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
I think once you get to a certain level or vibration of awareness, then you do kind of, like Jared's mentioned, you kind of blip out. Like you just,
that's like me taking the garment off.
Exactly.
Stepping out of it is flipping out.
Exactly.
In a moment, in a twinkling of an eye.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
And Brandon, the idea of the way shower, I think that's a great term. It makes me think back to the reality distortion thing I was talking to you about the other day, right? It's like, I'll just set it up real quick, like as short as I can, succinctly, whatever. So there was this character on the screen of the Matrix known as Steve Jobs. People that worked with him in the 80s and 90s said that when they were around him, he had a reality distortion field, which is a term that came from, I think, Star Trek or Star Wars. I don't know, but Star Trek, I think. But the thing is that they said that his reality distortion field would allow him to bend what was possible so they could get more things done and people would really believe in what he wanted to achieve. Like, I don't know if it's like manipulation, but it just created charisma for him, around him. But we have that so people can listen more to the depth of what we're saying. But the truth drop wasn't that only that we can create reality distortion fields and warp the fabric of this place and manifest things. That's child's play to a being that's from the greater existence. That's just our nature to have that kind of power. But the truth drop they didn't tell you about that story, the reality distortion field and Steve Jobs, was that this realm has always been a reality distortion field. It distorts the original reality. This whole place is a distortion of what should be correct. That's why it's all inverted. So if you create your own reality distortion field around you with like indomitable willpower, love, joy, your spiritual power, high consciousness, understanding, gnosis, you create what I call a reality it distorts the distortion field and it puts it right around you. You know what I'm saying? So it makes
Mhm.
it helps make things correct. You can manifest easier that way. Reality integration field. That was it.
That's what in the law of one, that's what the being that was channeled refers to the humans as, is distortions.
Yeah, but the realm here is distorted. I think that's so
Absolutely.
they're calling us distortions. That's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
It's a jealous God.
That's kind of messed up. That's not right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all of the distortions. I thought that was interesting.
All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up because I think we only have about 10 minutes left. Any closing comments on this one?
That was fun.
I think it's a great one. Another good one. Ronan, you still there? Who's there?
Yeah, I had one question I wanted to ask you guys. I forgot who brought it up a few seconds ago, but have y'all actually ever actually changed someone's mind or gotten them to see your perspective?
Nope.
Negative.
It ain't gonna happen.
Not usually.
It has to be within them.
They have to, yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious because in my experience, it's always been people who they already knew or were already on that path or were already looking at these things. But so far, even in simple conversations, not even going to the deep, the depth part, but I can't even get them to even see my side. So I was just curious, you guys have more experience than I do in this, so I was just curious about that because I think we mentioned trying to help other people. And I was going to bring that up where I haven't really seen that in my experience. So I was just
I,
curious of y'all's.
I think they already have to have the potential to wake up. I'm not saying they're not human. Maybe there's a difference in quality of humanoid consciousness. They're supposed to be like the Borg hive mind now, or Homo borginicus, and then Homo sapien, and then whatever else, Capentis, the ones with the bigger heads, the elites or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe they have different qualities, and some
when I
can't see the truth, and some
what
can.
I think like when I say way shower, I don't mean I'm supposed to go
Disciple them all.
yeah, I'm not supposed to become Jesus and have 12 disciples and lead a pack of people.
Yeah, I got you. I knew what you meant by
It's
that.
just
Yeah.
more like it's the messages, and this is in the Bible. It's like the message isn't meant for everybody. That's why it's encoded through metaphor, some literal, some allegorical, I mean, all the things. Like they're if they're not meant, if they're not from what we're talking about, they can't get it. There's no point in trying to do it, and that's probably. I mean, I've talked to Carrie in length about this. It's like, well, I was trying to wake my wife up, and my best friend or my family, and they just all like abandoned me. They don't have that essence about them. So they're I when I say way showers, I mean like you just said, Roden, like you have questions on things, and you're obviously you found this for a reason because it's a frequency. It's in the higher place. I picture our spirits like coming into alignment, saying, "Hey, this guy has the same kind of vibration that you have. Let's help each other get the heck on home." That's why I was living in North Carolina. I met a woman online who I resonated with, and my spirit allowed me to come here and survive and answer questions, and it opened doors for me. Right? There's a resonant frequency to the essence which we carry, and that's no pun intended. By Carrie, but you know what I mean. It's hard to describe that, but I don't think we're supposed to be way showers like they want us to be. It's
That's
only
part
for
of
the
the
truth part.
distortion. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I think that there will be a cataclysmic event that is intended to do two things: bring in destruction and fear for a huge loose harvest, our energetic harvest, number one. And number two, what will happen that they are trying to contain is that because of the harshness of that, some people will suddenly wake up And those are the ones I think that will have a brief time because they'll have questions. You know, we thought you were Bozo the clown, and now we see that the things we laughed at you about are coming true. What do we do? How can we, whatever, we point the way, and then we leave them to find it. We don't do it for them. And I think we're there to shine light on that and to put them in the right direction. Not that we're
Just like a lighthouse.
yeah, the lighthouse is exactly right. You know, there's a thing in the Old Testament says that when the enemy comes in like a flood, a standard will be raised up against it. Now the Bible says God raises up that standard, but I think we are the standard. They have their own standards, and those will be the ones saying it's okay, go load up in the railroad cars or go on up to the Walmart FEMA camp or whatever. You'll have those. Be calm, be safe, safety and peace is what they'll say. And so that's one trip. But the other ones will be saying, nope, don't go that way. And so the person will have to find that answer within themselves. You know, do I risk getting shot because I ain't getting on that boat or whatever the heck it is, spaceship? I don't care what it is. I won't get on it. So
Do you guys know that FEMA's in charge right now?
I have no doubt about it.
Feels like it, doesn't it?
I mean, they're above the government, the
Yep.
Congress, everything.
There will be
I sent an article. I might have sent it to both of you, but I don't know if it went, because a lot of times links, you know, they won't let them go through.
As far as cataclysms go, it might sound weird. I'm not trying to be negative, but I kind of say like, well, you know, bring it on, because I'm ready to leave here, man. In a way, I kind of hope like the sun explodes or something, so I can just like meditate in
World
the
War
grass,
III is right around the corner.
meditate in the grass and
happened very
watch
quickly.
the fireball come and then burn me up while I'm meditating in like a split second. Gone.
Yeah, I just want it to be quick. As long as it's quick, I'm cool.
There's I forget the story, but it's almost like to give it a little example, it's like imagine you are in a shootout or something, and the guy's shot, and before you even feel any sort of pain, you're already gone. Like you don't feel any of it because you resonate towards a different a place. I don't like that movie. Oh, what's it called? Don't Look Up, where they're all sitting at the dinner table as the blast comes through the windows and everything. I think we'll be gone. I think we're being called home to return.
You know, and we might get zapped out of here before that. I had a good friend of mine that used to work on the oil rigs, and he said that they used to, for fun, they'd grab hold of the little winch thing that would pull them up to the top of the rig so they could work on it. They weren't supposed to, but anyway, the guy below them was supposed to run it. So he jumped on there and he was riding it all the way up, and something happened. His arm got hung on something, and he started hollering down below, and the guy couldn't hear him. And the only way that the guy stopped it was when he seen his arm and his leg fall down right beside of him. And I was like, well, Butch, what did you do, man? He said, I don't know. He said, I could see my body being torn to shreds. And he said, me and God were sitting on a cloud watching it happen. And then, you know, when they got his body down, then he said he went right back into it. So maybe there's something that takes, you know, our spirit self out. And we punch that God in the eye and tell him we ain't going back. Leave me alone.
His one eye left.
No thanks, God.
See ya, deuces. I got deuces for you, man. Oh, you won't like them.
I've been thinking about that, how like
Go ahead, Kat.
She fell over. Anybody there?
Can you hear me?
There
I
you
can
are.
now. Yep.
Okay.
Suspense is killing
I've been
me.
thinking about that. Like, I mean, I'm not afraid to die. I just don't want to like suffer while I'm dying. You know, I don't want to go through
Of course.
whatever. So I'm wondering at what point do we disconnect from the body? Like, say somebody's drowning or they're burning to death in a fire. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when do we check out? Where it seems like some people go on and on, like suffering for like a long time before they die.
I feel like it's like Ronin said. I feel like it's going to be brief. It's going to for the ones who are at this level of awareness. I think it's going to be very fluid because we have literally not. What's the phrase? We have not left any stone unturned. Like it's going to run out of ways to do this with us. Like when we've researched all these NDEs, we've talked to all the people, we've followed this, we've done that, and I don't think that they're on borrowed time. You know, I think they can't mess with us at this point.
They will try. I think as we're checking out of here, I had the vision a few years ago of them lined up like linebackers and whatever their light body energetic self is, and as our essence is leaving, that they try to push us back down. You know, whatever that means, or entice us, or whatever. But we've just got to set our faces like flint that we're getting the hell out of Dodge. Get out of my way.
Yeah, we're that powerful.
I would put it to you that maybe if, depending on how we each go out, like what I would do for myself is if I had even just a few minutes knowing that I was going to go, if something happened and I wasn't gone already, but I knew I was on my way out, then I would just will myself to go faster, because
so
you could probably make it happen quicker before you have to completely suffer all of it, or maybe just go unconscious faster and then immediately conscious right after the body dies, you know, whatever. I don't know.
No,
Yeah, there's been stories of people kind of
understand.
timing it to where, you know, they needed to see their friend, you know, they're dying, but their friend is on their way and they have to wait, you know, 3 days, but they hold off for that 3 days to see their friend and then they die. I think there's something to that.
Oh, I agree. I've seen it happen over and again. My own grandpa did that. In fact, he got out of the hospital and went home and started calling all the people he thought he had offended in his life, because he was trying to die. This was in the middle 70s, and he kept having hallucinations that he would get on his way to what he thought was heaven, and there was always a brick wall there, and he would be asleep, but he'd be hollering out at my grandma, "Mom, I can't get over this brick wall. Somebody's put a brick wall up in my road and I can't get around it. Help me over the wall. Help me." And then, so about a day or two later, he woke up out of that, and he picked up and he went home, made phone calls to anyone that he thought he had ever hurt or offended, and asked for forgiveness and settled that account. And then he was ready. He went back to the hospital, and it was probably the next day he was gone. He had made it over that brick wall.
So you guys are thinking that we have a certain amount of control over our death?
I'm thinking possibly in some cases. Now they might hit out of nowhere.
Monks have willed themselves out of here, supposedly, allegedly, for thousands of years. There's supposed to be a technique to do it.
Well, if we think about it, if it's true that we were to be originally supposed to be able to go in and out at will, then, you know, how do we revert back to the original terms of the agreement? Everything in this entire system of death is contractual by nature. It's all about making the deal. And so that's been my thing. Our default setting should be that we're to have no one rule over us, and we're to be able to go in and out as we wish.
I concur. Sounds great. Total sovereignty.
We'll talk about that on the next one. You want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that on the next one, guys. This has got to wrap up in like 2 minutes because I'll set it for a timer. But let's we're probably going to do another one tomorrow if anybody's interested, and we can pick up right where Carrie just left off, or wants to continue on with. Probably around the same time, about 2:15, 2:30ish. And just her and I are trying to figure out a way to get more people included and do these more consistently, because the response has been really, really good so far. From the panels or whatever, the videos. So I think we just keep going with it.
Sounds good, man.
All right. Nice to meet you, Ronin, Kat, Jared. I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay.
All right.
Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Bye,
Yep.
y'all.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.